Will MomTok survive this? It appears we have a breakup and we have a new lie, a new scandal that we're going to get into. The ladies of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives are really going through it this week. Plus, we're going to talk about Real Housewives of Orange County. Did Heather Dubrow shame Emily with the jeans? We're going to get into it. Let's go. You're listening to No Filter with Zach Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, served fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. Happy Monday. I hope you guys had a great fun day weekend. Let me know. Oh, I just realized I had some text messages I never read. Or that I opened but never read and responded to. What's up, guys? What's going on? Did you have a fun weekend? What did I do over the weekend? Did I do anything fun? Did MomTok survive this weekend? Saturday I did dry try at Orange Theory, which was great. Had a blast at Orange Theory and came in first. I did not hit my PR. So, which was a bit of a bummer because I wanted to I've been hitting every single PR all year long. I've just been tearing it up. This has been my year of the PR, but this is the first time I really did not hit my PR. But it's okay because even though I didn't hit my PR, I still finished first. Oh, so my best ever dry try PR was I got the whole thing done in 36 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay. 36:24. That was so you have to do a 2,000 meter row. So you're on the rower for 2,000 meters. Then you have to get off, get on the floor, do 300 body weight reps. There are push ups, burpees, step ups, squats, all this stuff that you have to do, all 300, right? Then after that, you have to run a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. So you have to do that as fast as you possibly can to be the first one done. I was the first one done. My best time, as I said, I did all three: 2,000 meter row, 300 bodyweight reps, and the 5K in 36 minutes, 24 seconds. That was my best time ever. Now, this past weekend, I did it again, but I did it in 37 minutes and 37 seconds. So about a minute slower than I did last time, but I think it was because last time I was really pushing myself, whereas in this case, I really wanted to pace myself. I didn't want to gas out. I didn't want to end up dead by the end of it. So I went a lot slower because I wanted to make sure I wasn't getting too gassed out. I wanted to make sure I could hold it consistently. And then my goal for the 5K was to complete it in under 22 minutes, which I did. My goal was 21 minutes. I was like, if I can bring my pace to an average of 7 minutes per 7 minutes per mile, sorry. Then I can do it, right? That's 21 minutes, the last 0.1, whatever. But I said I wasn't going to do any walking recoveries, that I was going to stay at a really slow pace. If I did need a little bit of a break, but I ended up doing walking recoveries. I took it. I was very cautious this time around. So I was a minute later, but I was still first to finish. First one done. Very proud of myself. Especially because a year ago, I had that skinny fat body, right? Where you're really skinny, but there's no real muscle tone. And then since I had lost a lot of weight, I had a lot of saggy, droopy skin, which I still kind of have. So my body very much have that insecurity, which we'll get into more when we talk about OC, because I have a lot of thoughts about Emily and Heather and Emily's body insecurities and all of that stuff in the fashion show, because I related to Emily a lot with that, but we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, so I did dry try on Saturday, felt really good, did not get gassed out, was not burned out by the end of the day. I was pretty solid. I even ran an extra mile because I finished early. So I was like, all right, let me run an extra mile because why not, right? Because last weekend I ran a half marathon. And then Sunday, my mom was hosting a doggy social where you can come out, bring your dogs. They had these fun vendors that were there with like doggy clothes, doggy treats. They had like CBD treats, they had doggy tamales, they had all sorts of fun stuff, which was really cool. And so I went and I took Sky and Sully because my mom has this new lot that she's doing events at. So I think she's going to be doing events at least like once a month. So you can come hang out if you're in LA. Come meet Sky and Sully one of these days. They're not all doggy socials, but some of them, I usually bring them regardless. So come meet the boys. But yeah, that was my Sunday. And then it was my grandfather's birthday. We did a little dinner for him, dinner and cake. So yeah, that was my weekend. Hopefully you guys had fun. Fun, fun, fun. Ooh, Michelle Crawford Rickert. First live I have ever caught. Long time fan. Oh, I love that. Hey, Michelle, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Well, I'm worn out just listening. Way to go, Zach. Thank you. Congrats, Zach. Still got first. I know. Wasn't a PR, but like the fact that I still finished first and I was a minute behind my last time. Solid, right? Okay. Um, let's talk mom talk and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. First of all, have we caught up? Have we binged the full thing? Have you listened to my interview with Whitney and with Macy? Everybody, so many people in the comments were like, "Ugh, I can't believe that you, of all people, you chose to interview Whitney." And then other people were like, you didn't hold her accountable for the things that she did and said and blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay. Now, if you're a member of members only, then you got all the behind the scenes scoop of that interview. But just, um, with Whitney, I think I told you guys, like, I mean, obviously, I had, like, my top 4. Whitney and Taylor were my top 2, right? Because they were the 2 standouts. They were the 2 biggest stars of the show. Whether you like them or dislike them, whatever, they're the 2 most polarizing, like, figures on that show because they've both been enthralled in scandals, right? They're the ones that everybody knows about. So, obviously, I wanted one of those 2, and then I really liked Jesse, and I liked Macy. So, Hulu's ultimately the one that determined, what which of the stars got to do which shows and whatnot. And we filmed that interview weeks ago, way before the show ever came out. I think I had like less than 48 hours to binge the entire 8 episode series and like prep my questions. And then when we got in studio, I had to tweak my questions because I realized Macy and Whitney had not actually watched the show. So any questions that they were answering were strictly based off of their recollection of what had been filmed, but they didn't know what ended up making the air. They didn't know like any of that stuff. They didn't know how it was edited. They didn't know, who came across what. Whitney didn't even know that she was the villain of the season. So I was like, okay, it I had to pivot some of my approach to some of the questions. So I didn't actively say, I want to sit down with Whitney and I'm gonna grill her for being the villain. She hadn't even seen the show. So yeah. Okay. Mallory says, I watched all of Secret Lives. I liked it as an ex-Mormon around the girl's age. I thought it was interesting and funny. Do you think it was like super Mormon-y? Or were you like happy with the Mormon representation since you have a little experience in this? Laura said, I figured they send you who they send you. Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but like they live in Utah. So they scheduled these things, and Whitney and Macy were the only 2 that flew out that week. So, I didn't have an option to interview any of the other girls. They did like they did some early advance press, and we had to keep everything under embargo until, the week of the show. So I couldn't release any clips or any photos or anything. And then they did a separate, like, press junket day, which I'm so glad I didn't have to do the press junket 'cause I hate doing those press junkets sometimes because you're literally, like, in this Zoom waiting room with, like, all these other reporters and all these other outlets and all these other people, right? And so you're kind of just sitting there, and then they're just doing rounds and rounds of interviews, right? So you come in, you ask them a few questions. You have like 7 minutes with them. You ask them a few questions, and then all right, next reporter, and then they ask a few questions, and then next reporter, and then they ask a few questions, and the next report. So you don't really get like an in-depth interview. Where I was grateful that I got like a full sit-down hour with the 2 of them, which was great. And then what else? What else? What else? And then they ended up having like an influencer like event here in LA that they all did, which um I didn't go to that, but yeah, they were had like all their press stuff like scheduled out in advance, and it was like a whole strategy, and it was actually smart, and it became like the number 1 show. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, there's another podcaster that's flirting with me right now, or trying to. Let's see. Okay, let's talk Dakota and Taylor because I want to break down her latest tickety talk, right? So she posted on her tickety talk about, let me see, let me just pull it up for you. Well, we don't know what it's about exactly, but people are speculating. What is this? Taylor Frankie Paul. People are speculating that she's broken up with Dakota. Oh, she just posted a new one. Okay, so she posted her first video, and it's literally her, and she's like trying to dance, and she's crying, and she's like showing off her abs, and she's like, "Look at me," she's like doing a whole Britney Spears thing, right, where she has like sad eyes, and her hair's a mess, and she's like trying to dance and show off her little abs and stuff. Um, but so the caption is, "Not me slowly morphing into 2022 me. Please no, we don't want her back." I don't know what please no, we don't. Oh, please no, we don't want her back, as in we don't want 2022 Taylor back, right? I don't know what it means, like, not me morphing into 2022 me. Like, what was 2022 me? Obviously, that was before her and Zach, like, became a real thing, right? Wasn't when was the TikTok scandal? Was that 2022? When when was the mom talk scandal? 2022. She shared that her then husband, Tate Paul, who was divorcing, had an open relationship with other couples. In Mom Talk during the live stream, Paul did not reveal the names of the people. Okay, yeah. So the scandal broke in May 2022. So that's when she was going through her separation with her husband. So now people are assuming 2022 Taylor was broken up Taylor. So that means, is she now 2022 Taylor because she's broken up with Dakota? And we're going through the whole cycle all over again. And then she posted another video on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, evening. Too triggering to watch the show, but at least I wanted to see my son's birth. So she says it's triggering to watch the show, I'm assuming because of Life with Dakota. And then this caption says, if we get season 2, maybe I'll be able to watch. But there are no new videos with Dakota. She's not mentioning Dakota. Um, it is interesting because she posted something on 9/9 with Dakota. It was like them at the airport together, and they did a little cute tickety talk. And then after that, she posted another video saying, "Not girls coming out of the woodworks about their past with Dakota." And she's like, "It's me. I win. Ha 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 ha." It's like a TikTok like audio that she's bopping to. And then the caption says, "Congrats, the man wants to marry me and didn't accidentally have a baby with me." Congrats, the man wants to marry me and didn't accidentally have a baby with me. Hashtag Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Mom Talk, Postpartum, Taylor Frankie Paul. Oh, wow. She hashtagged herself. So she was talking about winning on September 12th. And then by this weekend, about a little over a week later, she's posting about like crying. And essentially, it looks like she's probably broken up with him. So that's what the internet's thinking. Everyone's running wild because obviously other girls are now starting to come out, and it's like, oh my God, did he cheat on her? Are these stories from these other girls true? Or is this her just trying to drum up some scandal or some drama or some storylines for a second season of Secret Lives? That's a possibility too. I think all of the girls are kind of getting a little thirsty with it. Whitney posted something on her TikTok as well. And Whitney posted like this little video. It was like an old school audio clip for the audio of her video, but it's her. And it's like, will I ever see you again? And then Whitney's like, I'm going away. Bye. And then it's like, well, when will we ever see you again? And she's just like, I don't know. Maybe. And then it's basically her alluding to, like, maybe she'll come back for a second season, maybe she won't. Who knows? Nobody knows what's gonna happen. Mallory says, "Taylor dancing and crying is peak TikTok behavior. It's so, right? Well, that's like when Whitney posted about her baby, her baby in the hospital, and then she's like, 'Would you love me?'" Mm. I wanna be with you, you, I wanna be with you, you. And she's like, "Pray for my baby," while she's doing jazz hands. So, I don't know. Do we think that they've actually broken up? Zach and sorry, not Zach, Dakota and Taylor. Because I kind of feel like maybe they have, maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe she's gonna go like, I feel like she's probably gonna try to give us like a Courtney and Scott, early days Kardashians. Remember Courtney and Scott where it was off and on, off and on, off and on. So I feel like Taylor and Dakota are gonna feed into that and maybe do a little more off and on about that too. But could it be about Jenna? It seems sudden. Jenna was Jenna the name of the girl that he was supposedly talking to? Sydney said, "Ew, they will break up 50 times." Yeah, Lori, I bet they break up a lot. Probably, but now there's an incentive to play it up for the audience, to play it up for the fans, because now everyone's fully invested in their relationship. So I'm sure, I mean, this is not gonna be healthy for their relationship, you know? We'll see. But yeah. Sydney says the Whitney video was disgusting. Well, so as of right now, it's unclear. We don't know if they've officially broken up or not, but it seems like there is that speculation. She's definitely leaning into it. She's definitely not confirming it, but also not denying it. I'm sure she's doing this all for the content. Listen, these girls know what they're doing. They know how to get us talking about it. They know how to get us watching all their content. They're smart, right? They're they know what they're doing. Dakota just seems really off in front of the camera, awkward. Yeah, he definitely seems off in front of the camera. I talked to Macy about that in my interview with them, and I was like, "Do you think that Dakota on camera is very different from Dakota off camera?" And she's like, "Yep, the Dakota off camera, very different. The Dakota on camera definitely seems like, he is trying to put on this, um, like image of this good guy, right? I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Very Tom Girardi. He looks better since he cut his hair. Dakota's hot, right? Like, he's a cutie patootie, like, and I think the fact that he's toxic only makes him hotter. Not a good thing, right? Oof. Ah, why is it that we love these toxic men? Mallory says, "I've been social media friends with Dakota for the past 10 years, and the dude is desperado and fame whore." Yeah, I believe it. So I think they're definitely gonna lean into this. Laura says, "Content is their bread and butter. They have to make it go on. On and on and on and on. Don't ever grow up. I'll never get out. Hey, take me away. Na, 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 take me away, 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 away." Does anybody know that song? Do you know what movie that song is from? If you do. If you know, you know. Like J-Lo said, if you know, you know. Ham and cheese on a roll, orange drink. If you know, you know. So, oh, during filming, but it looks fabulous now. Alexandra got it right. It's from Freaky Friday. It's the Pink Slip song. On and on and on and on. Don't wanna grow up. Take me away, 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 away. Okay, so that's that's Dakota and Taylor. But then we also have Zach and what's her face? Jen Affleck. And so apparently, remember they always kept putting Jen Affleck in the when in the I don't know if anybody caught it. I caught it when I was watching the screeners before it came out. I haven't actually seen the show since it aired, but I did watch the screeners when I was sent them originally. But I remember in the confessionals, everybody else had their first name: Taylor, Macy, Whitney, but Jen had Jen Affleck as her name. They like listed out Jen Affleck. So they, I guess, really wanted people to know she's Jen Affleck, who's related to Ben Affleck. And so Jen Affleck and Ben Affleck, right? Zac Affleck told us all that he was second cousins with Ben Affleck. Well, now it's come out from Business Insider, Katie Natopoulos, who I invited on this podcast, and she ghosted me. She left me on red. I invited her to come on to talk about all this, but she Didn't get back to me. But she has revealed that Zac Affleck is actually not related to Ben Affleck. They have zero relation. I'll read you her exact posts on Threads. So on Threads, Katie writes, one of the Mormon wives claimed that her husband, Zac Affleck, is a second cousin of Ben Affleck and that his parents met Ben as a child. But when I researched the census slash public records to build a family tree for both Affleck families, there is zero connection between them, between the two, going all the way back to at least 1801 in Scotland. Mm. She said there were rumors on Reddit that this wasn't true. It just so happened that I already built out a Ben Affleck family history after his 2015 scandal, where he pressured Henry Louis Gates Jr. to edit out information from his PBS Finding Your Roots show about having a slave owning ancestor. Find yourself a stupid hobby like doing a celebrity genealogy, and you'll never be bored a day in your life. So, mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Looks like they weren't telling the truth. On and on and on and on. Don't wanna go out. Take me away, 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 away. So yeah, looks like they's lying, and she just defended him last week. Remember, she wrote that whole long post. What did her post say? It was so long. Oh my god, it was so long. She wrote that long post on Instagram. We were just kids when we got married, young, naive, inexperienced. We truly had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. Coming from completely different backgrounds, families, and upbringings, it didn't seem to make any sense. We were polar opposites. How could we make this work? How could we see the same picture? We didn't always see eye to eye, and a lot of times we still don't. But that doesn't mean, but that's what marriage is. We keep trying. I truly believe that there were lessons we both needed to teach each other. When we were dating Zach, when we were dating, Zach bought me my first laptop when he had only $10 in his bank account. Why is he buying you a laptop when he had only $10 in his bank account? When I started my dream of running a marathon, he trained alongside me and ran with me. I told him I wanted to start a videography business, so he saved up his money and bought me my first camera. When we were experiencing our first baby, I wanted a place to call home, so he worked hard, saved up, and bought us our first house. He gave me both stability and freedom, which allowed me to post videos online and launch my career on social media. This, in turn, allowed me to support him and our family while he's been in school. I couldn't have done it without Zach. Is Zach perfect? No. Does he have flaws that we've needed to address? Yes. But I can confidently say he's always supported and believed in me more than anyone else. We're still young. We have two precious babies, and we still have struggles like many marriages. But do we love each other? Yes. Are we willing to put in the work to be better? Yes. Have these been moments when we wanted to walk away? Yes, of course. But there's so much more to our marriage and what we offer each other than people realize. So they seem to be amazing, right? They're doing the damn thing. Look at them living their best life. She's defending him a bit too hard. That screams he's the problem. I mean, doth do protest too much? Is that how it goes? Support each other financially. That's basically marriage 101. Yeah. Mallory says, Jen telling herself that Zach treats her like shit because he loves her so much hurt me so bad. Like, no, baby girl, that's not love. No, it's not love. You can't change narcissistic tendencies. Yeah. Yeah. Krista Marie says, side eye. She is so pretty and a nice girl and needs to allow his parents to dismiss her. Yeah. Divorced by 30. Yeah, a lot of them are married and divorced. Well, not all of them, but like, yeah, it's crazy. Right? When did you guys get married? In your 20s or your 30s? Like these girls got married young. And a lot of people, I don't know, their marriages don't always last that long, right? When they get married so young, because then you become different people and you change and you evolve and you're no longer the person that you were when you first met and when you got married. And, you know, well, Janelle, I told you. His parents are so ignorant. And I was 36. Sydney says she's not married. Never been, Sydney, or divorced? 21 and divorced. Oof. 21 is so young to be getting married. Like, that's wild. Krista Marie says she got married on purpose and she's glad she waited. I'm glad you got married on purpose too. I'm glad it wasn't an accidental marriage. We don't like an accidental marriage. Jen Johnson says, still not married, but we've been together for 30 years. Wow. Michelle got married at 25, still together. Mary Duda 444 says 25 seems like the right age to get married. Yep. Cassie says, I'm 30 and almost all of my high school acquaintances were married before 25 and are now divorced. Well, there you go. I'm 31, never married. So, you know, out here doing the damn thing. Joe says Zach did say he's meant to be divorced versus married, which means he still wants to be married. You know what, Joe? Nobody asked you. I don't know if I would get married. You know that? I don't like I've thought about like I don't want a wedding. Like that to me sounds truly awful. I do not want a wedding. The idea of the idea of commitment really does scare me and I know I need to overcome that hump, right? Cuz like even like my friends when they're like getting into serious relationships or really committing to people, I'm just like it gives me so much anxiety. I'm like, but that's so much. Like that's so much commitment. That's so much. What is that? Like that's so much commitment. That's like it just I don't know. It gives me anxiety. But yeah, Mallor says I've always wanted to elope versus I don't want a wedding. Like a wedding just sounds awful, right? Like who wants a whole wedding and you have to plan it and then you have to have everybody come out to it? Like maybe well, no. It will be Zach and Zeus and Xena. You could do what some content creators did and get married in the courthouse. Yeah, I would probably do a courthouse. Do you even have to do that? Well, I guess you have to, like, have, like, somebody, like, christen the marriage or whatever, and then you have to have, like, witnesses, and then I have to sign the paper. Like, if I could just, like, have somebody sign the marriage license, like, I'm cool with that, you know? And we can just, like, have a romantic weekend, you know? Zach, I heard you say you were ready for kids and made me smile. I see. I'm totally ready for kids. I'm ready to just skip the marriage part, skip the commitment part, and just jump right into the kids. Right? Cassie says, I didn't care for marriage, but someone made a good point. If something happens to your spouse and you're not married, other people have control over medical and fine. Yeah, I get it. That's why I'm like, okay, I understand the benefits of getting married, but like, doesn't mean I really want to. Um, So yeah, weddings are expensive. That too. It's not even the expense of the wedding. It's just like, why do I want to have this whole big production to be like, look at me, we're sucking dicks. Like, why? Like, no, like I'm okay. I don't need to kiss my partner in front of like a whole bunch of people. Like to me, that's just like so cringe. Um, it just like makes my skin crawl. So yeah, that's where I stand. It's not even about the money of the wedding. I don't mind having a good party. Listen, I know how to throw a good party and not have to pay for it. So my kids will have control over their dad, and that's how it should be. Yeah. Joe says the person who married herself ended up filing for divorce as well. So I guess marriage is not for everybody. Why would she marry herself? What an idiot. Cassie says, I'm not a traditional wedding girl. I would have a destination wedding. Yeah. Note to all, do not invite Zach to your wedding. His skin will crawl. Yeah, I don't particularly enjoy I enjoy receptions. I'm not like a big like, nobody really wants to go to your wedding. Like, that's the honest truth. Like, people go because there's gonna be an open bar and they're going to celebrate you. Like, people are there for the reception, but sometimes people have ceremonies that are just too damn long and they have too many things and there are too many prayers. And I'm just like, my God, if you saw her in the bedroom, you would know they ain't praying to Jesus. When she's on her knees, it's not because she's asking for forgiveness, right? So, yeah. Lori says, I had a huge Jersey Italian wedding and then you got divorced. Do you regret the wedding now? Sorry if that's an inappropriate question, but like we're family here, right? It's just us. We're all in this together. So I do want to talk about OC because we had the most recent 500 people wedding seems too much. 100 people wedding seems too much. Oh my God. I saw people getting married on in a park here in downtown a couple weeks ago. I was like, that is a park on Grand Avenue. Like, what? What? You are on Grand Avenue. There, like, people are walking their dogs around your wedding. Like, what are you doing? You're in a it wasn't even like a big it's a downtown park, so it's like a little park, right? With a wishbone, and they got married under the wishbone. I'm like and it was like a neon like a bright iridescent blue wishbone. I'm like, "This is tacky." But love, 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 love. So, yeah. OC. We had OC's been good this season. We saw Shannon Storm's Bedour, and who else? We had Shannon and Vicky go on their Dos Amigas tour. What is it? Just Shannon and Vicky now? They had to like rework their whole concept of their show because Tamara dropped out and they're no longer the Tres Amigas. And Vicky is throwing a lot of shade at Tamara, right? Like she's like, "Can't we just put a clown face over Tamara's face?" Which to me was kind of strange because like I didn't think that they were in a bad place at that time. I get like she was annoyed that like Tamara pulled out of the live show, but I didn't think there was like a feud or beef going on between them. So that's why I get now where Tamara's just like, I don't get why she started coming for me out of nowhere. Like we had no issue, and then now I'm seeing that she's like constantly bashing me, which we're seeing on the show. Like Vicky is constantly bashing Tamara, right? So they're on their little Vicky and Shannon show tour, and then we have, Jen hosting game night at our house. So all the women come over, we see Alexis come in with her Little Mermaid hairstyle, and she walks in and she's just like, "Oh my god, everything's so hard, and oh my god, my life's so hard, and oh my god, everything's so difficult." And she's, like, throwing her little tantrum, right? Because she's, like, overworked. She's like, "Oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Ah, da, 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 da." So I was just on Stu's podcast, Don't Let It Stew, and we talked. I was like, "Wait, why do I feel like I talked to you guys about OC already?" But it was because I taped it on Stu's podcast over the weekend, which I believe is out now. So, um, her crying and making this whole big production about like there's just something that's going on and everything's just so hard and like and she's like making and everyone's like, "What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?" Well, Emily went on Jeff Lewis Live, and Emily talked about um how that was going on for she's like, obviously when things are edited, you don't see everything, right? So she's like, that whole charade was going on for like 45 minutes of her doing that. Like, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I can and everyone's like, what is it? What is it? What is it? Just say it. And even Tamara's like, just say it. And it like you can tell that they were visibly frustrated. And she, I guess, which wasn't edited into the show, but Emily revealed on Jeff Lewis Live, she said that Alexis said that it had something to do with the lawsuit that they've now filed the lawsuit against Shannon Bedore for the 75,000, which Shannon offered to pay them. They didn't want to sign the non-disparagement agreement, which my understanding is that it would be a mutual non-disparagement, which means they couldn't talk about Shannon. Shannon can't talk about them. Like they would all agree to just not talk about each other moving forward. And John didn't want to sign that because he's like, I want to actually defend myself against your lies about me when it's like he's only making himself look worse. If anything, the only thing hurting his reputation is himself and his ego. But so then I was watching the scene of Alexis and her little tantrum that she's throwing, all the girls getting frustrated with her. And I'm thinking that there's possibly more to what's going on there than she's leading on, right? I think that maybe she and John got into some sort of fight and he got upset with her and he got angry at her the same way he used to get angry at Shannon. And I think it had to do with the fact that Alexis revealed on camera that they had those videos of Shannon and it came out on the show. And now Shannon knows about it. So now Shannon's lawyers were going back to John's lawyers claiming that this was extortion. And so now John's in this peculiar situation because now it does look like he's trying to extort Shannon. And that's the ammunition that Alexis essentially gave Shannon by bringing it up on camera and talking about it. And so I think John was upset with Alexis, like, you fucked up. You screwed the situation up. You opened your big mouth. You shouldn't have done that. You're such a fucking idiot or whatever. Because remember, he used to call Shannon all these names, according to Shannon. So I think that that's my own conjecture, but I think that that's what happened. I think it was a lot more than just the lawsuit. I think this affected the lawsuit, and he had to then move forward with the lawsuit, which I don't even know what his intention actually was. I think he wanted her to pay up and shut up and never speak about him again. But like I don't get what his motive is. I think it's really just because he wants to hurt Shannon. He's like, "You hurt me," but I don't think it's that his ego is more hurt than anything, right? Johnny J is in danger of criminal charges. I mean, should there be I mean, I don't know. That I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Like, how do you I guess Shannon would have to sue him for extortion, right? Or would she have to file a police report? Like, how would that even work? I don't know. I have to look into that. But it just it's this guy's just not helping himself at all. And then Alexis just looks like a fucking idiot continuing to defend him. But then we get past the Alexis thing and then we get to the Emily thing. And Emily's crying because she had a really tough time at Heather's fashion show because she felt like she was singled out because she was wearing the same dress that Alexis had on. And obviously Alexis is like, super thin and Emily feels insecure about her own body. And then there was the jeans thing where Heather told her, like, "Bring your own pair of jeans and wear those on stage." I thought the jeans thing wasn't about Emily being a big girl. I just thought that, like, they were showing because I think Stu asked me, he's like, "But why would you have Emily wear jeans and not everybody else?" And I was like, "Probably because, um, they wanted to show, like, the versatility of the clothes, that you can dress it up or you can dress it casually as in jeans, right?" And so Emily brought it up and, I think Heather was doing a fine job of like listening to her and validating her and, trying to understand where Emily was coming from, where Emily's like, I just felt uncomfortable. I felt like I was the big girl. I feel like you only see me as the big girl. It was really uncomfortable for me to be in the same dress as Alexis because she's a lot smaller than I am, and yada, yada, yada. And then they show Heather's interview, her confessional. And she's just like, listen, nobody sized Emily. Everyone gave us their measurements, right? They all got their measurements done. Emily gave us her exact measurements. So the clothes were made they were made to fit each of the women. And she's like, and listen, when Emily went out there and she wore that dress, she's like, the dress was tight. It wasn't baggy. And now I know everyone's like dragging Heather over making that comment. But I mean, I think Heather meant like the sizes that Emily gave us were the exact sizes that were measured that Emily was aware of that Emily herself provided. Emily provided those measurements and that's what the clothes were designed for. So they didn't intentionally give Emily a bigger size because they saw her as a big girl. Because remember, she was saying, I had the big oversized jacket and it just made me feel like the big girl. Which listen, I'm wearing an oversized hoodie right now. I love oversized. Oversized, like it's comfy. It's like in style right now. Like everything oversized is just the vibe right now. Heather's comment was unnecessary shade. It was unnecessary, yes, and I get why people are dragging Heather for it, and I'm not gonna defend her for it. But like I get what she was trying to say about like, listen, these were the measurements she provided and the dress fit, right? We didn't give her, clothes that were too big for her. We gave her clothes that were made to her size. Now, that said, I do understand where Heather gets upset and like is like, I've already apologized. I've already acknowledged this because you also have to understand, similar to like when Alexis was throwing her little tantrum for 45 minutes, but we only see like 2 minutes of it. The Emily conversation, I'm sure, went on a lot longer than what we actually saw. And so we do see Heather acknowledge Emily's feelings and we do see Heather apologize and we do see Heather being like, that wasn't my intention. Like, I'm so sorry you felt that way. It makes me sad that you would feel insecure at my event. And then I get where Heather's like finally at the point where she's just like, listen, dude, like my priority was not you. My priority was raising money for this charity. I was organizing this entire event. Everyone was responsible for getting themselves dressed and providing their own measurements. We had the clothes were made just for them. Like, I didn't think about trying to put Emily in the clothes that were going to make her feel insecure. Like, I didn't think that deeply about it. I'm not thinking about Emily's insecurities. And we've discussed this on the show many times about how your triggers are your responsibility. It's not other people's responsibilities to be aware of your insecurities or your triggers or to constantly be overthinking that, right? You have a show with all of these different women, right? You're putting on this fashion show with multiple women. You can't sit there and think of like, oh, well, this one might be insecure because maybe she, is insecure about the size of her breasts, or maybe she's insecure about the size of her hips, or whatever. Like, you can't be thinking about every person's body insecurity, like it's just not realistic. And I get where Emily's coming from because, hello, former fat kid here, right? What FF FFK, is that the term, that the self-identified term? Um, I used to be I was very overweight. I lost what? 70 pounds, I wanna say, right? I used to be like 190, and then I went all the way down to like 120, and then I stayed in like the 130 zone for a while, and then now I'm 150. Because now I've gone to the gym, I put on more muscle, I'm not afraid of weightlifting. And so I understand Emily's body insecurities, and I understand Emily's new fitness journey. I'm on that same fitness journey, right? I went from being overweight to underweight in treatment for an eating disorder, and ultimately realizing, my issues with my body were my own internal issues that I needed to face and challenge. I needed to tackle my mental health. I needed to tackle my emotional health. I needed to tackle my spiritual health. And those were all things that eventually, once they start to come into homeostasis, you start to then, your body then reflects that, but it starts from the inside. It's not about the outside. It's about addressing the root issues, right? And so I understand Emily's experience more than people would think I do, right? I understand her insecurities. I mean, to this day, I still have insecurities about, even with some of my friends, who were naturally very thin and have never been overweight and don't understand that struggle, or don't understand, like, my insecurities too are like, when you lose a lot of weight, when you are heavy and you lose a lot of weight, your skin then gets a little droopy and a little saggy. And so parts of my body are still droopy and saggy because I would have, I lost weight so rapidly and in such an unhealthy way. And so I have struggled with body dysmorphia and, bulimia and binge eating and all of that stuff. My body has been through the ringer, which is why I'm so happy about how healthy I am now, because I've made peace with my body and I've accepted where I am now, and I've accepted my body, and I love working out and I love eating healthy and all of those things, right? Because it's about nourishing and taking care of my body despite everything that I put it through over the last 3 decades. So I can relate to Emily's insecurities. There have been many times where I've been around some of my friends and I get insecure in my own body, and it's hard, but those are my challenges. Those are my triggers that I have to work through. I can't expect anybody else to, overcompensate for any of that. And even when I do, let my guard down and open up and I'm vulnerable with people about that, there's still a level of responsibility I need to have over myself, right? And if there's a situation that I don't feel confident going into, that I need to protect myself mentally or emotionally from, then I need to make sure I'm aware of that and don't put myself in situations that are going to bring back those old triggers, or do some exposure therapy and put myself in those situations where I can face that and work through it, right? And work through that discomfort. So, I get where Emily's coming from. I do think that she was going on a little too long about it. I think that it looked like she was kind of putting some blame on Heather, right? Because she's like, and then you put me in the dress with Alexis. And then why did you tell me to bring my own jeans? So it did feel a little bit like she was trying to point the finger at Heather. So when she's like, no, I'm not trying to blame you, I'm just trying to tell you how I felt. And I get that. Sharing your insecurities, bonding over, that vulnerability, I think is, important for friendships. But I think the approach was definitely not the right approach, because it felt like she was trying to project all of that onto Heather without necessarily taking that accountability on herself. So when she's like, Heather just made it like I was trying to blame her, but I wasn't trying to. But it's like, but it did kind of come across that way. Mallory says Emily wasn't as clear and concise about her feelings versus what Heather actually did. Exactly. She could have made it about like, listen, guys, I've been on this new health journey and I've lost a lot of weight. Because here's the other thing too that Emily has to acknowledge is she very much embraced the role of being the big girl, right? She, was eating her sandwich in the sauna and she like embraced that role of like, I'm a thicker girl, I'm curvy. Even one of her last taglines, wasn't it about like, the bumps or whatever in the road, or the only thing curvy about my life is me, or something like that, right? And so she has to acknowledge that, like, she embraced that identity. And maybe she felt that way. Maybe that was her own way of trying to mask her insecurity. But, like, she very much embraced that. So when you embrace being the big girl, then you have to acknowledge that, like, that's how you're positioning yourself. That's the image that you're putting out to the world. So when you embrace being the big girl, then that's how people are going to see you, is as being the big confident girl or the bigger girl, right? And I don't say these terms, I don't use these terms as a way to shame her or to, in any way disrespect her body or her journey with her body. And obviously, I have the utmost respect for the insecurities that she has because I have deep empathy for that because I went through that same experience, right? And so, or a similar experience. And so, I think when you embrace that role, then yeah, other people are going to see you that way. So then when you start to lose weight and you start to still have some of those insecurities, then it is a bit of a juxtaposition of like, well, you were embracing being bigger, but now you are insecure about being bigger because you're becoming more fit. And so I think it's just a journey that she has to go through within herself, right? It's a journey that I had to go through within myself. Nobody embraces the big person. I mean, some people do. Um, Sydney says, Zach, your pep talks really help me get into a good headspace when I'm struggling with my own mental health journey. It's comforting to know that I'm not alone and not the only one. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mallory says, at least hand me a taco. That's right. That was her other tagline, right? Um, what is it? If you're gonna something about shots, like hand me or something, and she's like, hand me a taco. Like she was always talking about like she loved eating tacos and she loved eating sandwiches. And like, listen, more power to her for owning that, right? But like then does kind of contradict this new journey that she's on. And listen, a journey is always evolutionary, right? It's never going to be linear, it's never going to be straightforward. So, there are going to be those rough patches or those times where you do kind of look back at the person that you were and the person that you're becoming, and you are a little confused and it is a little uncomfortable, and you don't really know where you stand anymore, where, you align with yourself anymore because yourself is changing. And when you're going through that change, it does rattle you, right? Again, I've been on this journey for many, many years. And I thought that, losing the weight was going to make me happy. And then I was losing the weight and then it was never enough. And then I needed more, 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 more. And then I was super thin and I was underweight, but that wasn't, enough either, because the enough needed to come from within me, right? It wasn't about body size and it wasn't about weight as much as I wanted to control that. The whole eating disorder thing was more about control for me more than it was about, the weight or the number on a scale or whatever. But it's about working on yourself on the inside, getting to the root of those insecurities, because the insecurities with your body very rarely have to do with your body. They have everything to do with the parts of you inside that you're afraid of, that you haven't quite faced yet. So Jen says, I'm a hugger. I embrace everyone. Well, there you go. Boozy Bitch says, shoot, I'm late. Taylor and Dakota broke up. Shocker. Well, we don't have confirmation that they broke up, but Taylor seems to be dropping hints and alluding and teasing to them being broken up. Sydney says, we all want what we don't have. I get very jealous when I see a full figured woman wishing I had more curves. Yeah. You know, Marianne Stout says we can change our journey, no shame. Absolutely. She's more than welcome to do that, but also know that like that's going to be a transition, right? It's going to take some time for her to adjust and know where to find that happiness again, where to, recalibrate and uh, find that homeostasis again within herself. And it just takes time, and it takes time and constant, evolution. But I'm glad that I see a lot of you talking about, like, my own fitness journey and how that's been inspiring for you, and that's kind of why I share, like, when I'm doing these challenges at Orange Theory, or my, embracing running and doing all of these new things. I think I like sharing that. I like sharing the journey that my body has been on. I like sharing where my body is at now. Like, I feel like the more I do that inner self work, the better I become. Mallory says fat phobia is real and something almost every person will have to work on within themselves and find that self love. Yes. And I think the key in that is work on that within themselves. You can't expect the world around you to bend or buckle. It's about doing that work inside. Look at I had one of my friends. Um, I sent him a meditation this morning because I did I like to do Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. There are all these like 10-minute free like meditations on YouTube. So I like to do like a 10 to 15-minute meditation usually in the morning. That also kind of helps, right? Like I'm very much about manifestation and trusting the universe and now I'm like really into quantum leaping. Oh my god. I could get into all of that, which I know is like super cuckoo crazy, but I'm all about, you know, getting into the quantum leaps and using like the secret and meditation and manifestation and the law of attraction and like Abraham Hicks when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, all of those things. I'm very spiritual in that way, but again, inner work. When you do the inner work, it reflects on the outside, and now I feel better. I feel like I look better. I love Joe Dispenza and Zach. Oh my God, stop. I'm deaf. Journeying timelines all day long. Jumping timelines all day long. There we go. Not the quantum leaps. I'm trained in TM. Yes, the quantum leaps. Listen, I didn't even realize. I know that this is super cuckoo crazy. Um, but when it comes to like quantum leaping, like I believe in it. It's a real thing, and it's something that I feel like I've been doing since I was, like, a kid. I was thinking about it this morning, and then I was doing my meditation, the Joe Dispenza meditation. Sorry, I know this is getting a little woo-woo for everybody, or not sorry, because again, like I always say on this podcast, the people that are ready to receive and hear these messages will receive and hear them, and the people that aren't ready for them won't, and that's totally fine. I respect your journey, but, yeah, very namaste tree of you. Well, listen, namaste tree is like very level 1. It's like very down there. There's a lot more layers to it. And you just become a more expansive presence in this universe. No, it's not. I'm right there with you. Okay, good. I'm glad. Literally feel like myself getting dizzy and I can tell it's time to change timelines. See? This is making my morning. Listen, we can all switch timelines quantumly. I know I'm gonna sound like a cuckoo crazy person, but it's all very real. And the power of your mind is so real. And the world that you have that's being reflected is coming from inside you, and you can change it at any point. It's all about, your mind, your attitude, your belief system, all of that. So. But if you are interested, I suggest looking into quantum leaps, jumping timelines, manifestation. I mean, I feel like manifestation, law of attraction, the secret, like all of that stuff are so like, you know, in the early intro stages. But then once you get to that advanced stage, you're like, wow, I'm controlling the matrix. I am not locked in the matrix. I'm in control of my own destiny, in my own reality. And the chaos that I seek is validating something within me, you know? Mind of matter. That's right. There's so much more that we can control within ourselves that we have to let go of the outer things we can't change. Exactly. And focus on deliberate creation. Pop culture green room's cousin was in that TV show. Which one? Secret Lives of Mormon Wives? TikTok actually has a lot of good stuff too. TikTok has a lot of good stuff. The Indigo Kids on TikTok. Oh my God. Have you seen the Indigo Kids on TikTok? I feel like all of my timeline right now, all of my algorithms are like spirituality, manifestation, fitness and motivation, or like I mean lately there is like some politics stuff that's been coming up as well. And I just feel like I'm in this place of like expanse. I'm just getting all of this influx of good information. Um, which I'm very happy about. This is giving Seinfeld, I am the master of my own domain. I am the master of my own domain. It's not even a domain. Oh, Quantum Leap, the television show. Oh, Quantum. I haven't what is that show even about? I've never seen that. Yeah. Well, Janelle, you are the master of your destiny. Dun 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 dun. All right. Ooh, Excuse me. That said, I think that's all I have for you. I try to leave you with little nuggets of wisdom when I can, where I can. Or just like not even trying to give you advice or nuggets of wisdom, but just like opening up myself and allowing you to take whatever you need, leave whatever you don't. Kristen Marie says, we're all experiencing reality from our own perception. Yes. Thank you. She's the mom. She's the mom of Trojan from Pretty Little Liars. Spencer? Trorian? What was the mom's name? Veronica? I don't know. Brittany says, thank you. I'm rewatching Pretty Little Liars now, and I'm on the season after college. I hate it, but I need to finish it. I know. It's crazy. I had a very fun rewatch. And over the weekend, I was rewatching Charmed. The original Charmed, not that bullshit remake that they tried to do. Anyway, that said, I love you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. The light in me sees the light in you. To go out there and be good lights in the world. Be, a force of light in the world. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to have Donna Bowling on the podcast tomorrow. We're talking about the Diddy stuff. All the Diddy stuff, because she went on a deep dive, and I cannot wait to deep dive into all of it. All right, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Talk to you later. Ciao for now. Love you. Mean it. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.